bit. I might just wait a couple more minutes. So while we're waiting for everybody, obviously I'm going to do an introduction anyway when everybody is here. And it might just be that not everyone can make it tonight. You know, it's crazy times and it's hard to just sit down and pause, really, isn't it? So well done for getting here. Just checking we will get the link of the med. Yes. So again, I've got an email ready to send to you guys, but it's just been a little bit of firefighting in the last kind of week. Last weekend I was running a retreat, and then obviously as soon as we got back, everything changed. So you will get the workshop recording and you will get the meditation recording and this. So this is a really good opportunity now, actually, while we're waiting for everybody. And maybe it will only be the few of us here, and that's fab. But now is a chance to actually put down your thoughts, put down your questions on here, and I can answer them like directly. And if you don't know what you've got to say, or you haven't got any questions, that's absolutely fine, because as you know, I can witter on for England. So I will, I'll basically just start with the things that I wanted to share with you as a continuation from last month with Elizabeth. So if you want to ask me something specific, if you want to a starting point while we're waiting for everybody, just drop something in the message there, and we can start from there. And if not, obviously I'll just carry on with where I'm at. So while you're having a think, what I'll let you know about is, of course, I have to acknowledge the situation that we're in at the moment, and it's just ironic that we already had this set up. It obviously is worth acknowledging, but at the same time, I kind of want to give you a little bit of a break from all that as well. So we will go into the actual topic itself that we were due to cover. But while we wait for everybody, I want to let you know some of the stuff that I'm doing, you know, that you can join, that's absolutely free. Monday, I've got a yoga class. It's half an hour, 12 till 12:30. And that is also with a meditation for just 10 minutes, 12:30 till 12:40. So you can join for either of those. Thursday night, 7:30 is a Facebook Live meditation, a bit longer. I'm also going to be doing a couple of talks that are just about, you know, working from home and how to go about that because of my experience with it. Any of these things that are coming up for you now as we're talking, just feel free to message me. You know, this is the best thing about doing something live. You're going to get access directly to the people that you're talking to. And while we're waiting for all the people, you've got even more unique access. So anything that just pops into your head, anything at all that's bringing anxiety for you, that is something that you might want to ask advice on. Even if that is not me, I can point you in the right direction because of the people that I'm connected with. So I can point you to places, or certainly things that you can do or look up or read without that sense of overwhelm. So that's a couple of things that I'm doing. I am going ahead with the official monthly mindfulness on Saturday. So that one was all about Ayurvedic medicine and your 3 different constitutions. So we're made up of 3 main constitutions. However, we are all 3. We just have a leading one and then a secondary one. It's really, really interesting because it's linked to health. As always, it's part of the yogic philosophy, and it helps you to understand what you need when you're out of balance. So I'm just going to give you a teaser for that. Key question, okay, is how to stop it. Absolutely. Okay, I'm just going to read this out in case people can't see it. I am a pro in this, especially when planning some me time. I'm all over that. For example, when I go for a massage, the fire alarm goes off in the hotel. When booking a session with Elizabeth, her son gets ill. When booking another coaching session, the road is closed and I cannot get there, and I can give you another 100 examples. Very interesting. So certainly when it comes to, I'm going to answer this in 2 parts. When it comes to trying to get your me time, and I obviously am always talking about me time. It's like the biggest thing that I do. And a lot of you know that this is because I burned out. I crashed and I burned, and it took me a really long time to figure out that A, I was super anxious, B, my mindset, and that's what I want to come back to on that one, Cindy, and 3, allowing myself, right? So I still have that today. I'm not saying that you can completely silence this part, but you can definitely turn down the volume. And you know what? Some days you don't hear it at all. And I can say and vouch that this is getting easier. And I'm starting to really enjoy it. But it's interesting because before I did my retreat this weekend, I went to the spa. I even posted it on Facebook. I didn't even go for the full spa treatment. I just went to use facilities. And I always do that before I do something that's really big, because it's important for me to fill my tank up first so that I can give. And I always sandwich big stuff like that in between some relaxation, some downtime. Like I say, because I've burnt out. And I know my energy levels now, and I know what I need to do. However, it's much easier to do afterwards because my body is so knackered that I have no choice, right? So this is the difference. However, before, when I know I need to fill my tank up, it almost feels like what's coming in my head is, oh, but you don't deserve it yet. You've not done it yet. So why should you have some time? And it creeps up. The difference is now I can catch it. It's almost like it's like Zippy was saying about different voices in the head. It's almost like part of me, it comes in like a habit, and it comes in with a, oh, but you shouldn't be, and these shoulds and coulds and all these things that come in. And then I come back to myself and I go, hang on a second, we've had this discussion, as in me and me, because, you know, I'm crazy, we're all crazy. We have had this discussion before, that you sandwich your stuff in between relaxation, otherwise you cannot give as much of yourself as you would like to, right? To stop manifesting. Yes, I'll come to that, right? So this is about, first of all, allowing yourself and checking in with yourself and going, this is a decision that I have made. I am going to get some me time. So what you're saying now is, yes, I want the me time, but how is all this stuff happening? Right. If you sometimes step back and you look at things, this kind of thing happens all the time. It's when we notice it more that it becomes a thing, right? And then the thing becomes the thing that you are manifesting and focusing on. It's like saying, I don't want to be ill. So when we talk about NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, it talks a lot about words, and they are so powerful. And when it comes to the mind will only pick up on words. It won't pick up on pluses or negatives. Let me give you an example again. I don't want to be ill. Okay. Your mind will just hear ill, 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 ill. I don't want to get this put back again, put back again, put back again, put back again. It's like that. So you have to do a different kind of affirmation. And I found this really interesting, because if you ever post anything on social media, or ever say something to your partner or a friend or something, watch those words that you're using. Another example is, instead of saying, don't forget to pick up the laundry, or don't forget to pick up the milk from the shop, your mind is going, don't forget. So if you change that to remember, 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 remember to do this, remember to do that, then your mind is focusing on that. So instead of saying, I don't want to get ill, you say, I'm happy, healthy, and thriving. I'm healthy. Just keep an eye on that, because it's easy to go then, I push away illness, but you're still saying illness. I draw in health. I draw in well-being. So in terms of your question about manifesting, what you then have to do is shift your mind. So as soon as you see that barrier, is try to have a different perspective. So of course, when it's times like this, we have to be quite flexible with our mind, because so much stuff is happening. So many barriers are coming up for lots of people here and there. And we have to, I think as a nation, as a society, globally, is to try and work with that go with the flow element a little bit more. The more that we can sort of float down that river and be the leaf on the river, instead of scrambling back up the river against what is naturally happening, then we have got a better chance of focusing on the good and allowing those good things to come. If you imagine that leaf, right? And I've done this so many times before. I've scrambled against something that it's just felt so hard to achieve. Now, I think there's a difference between scrambling for something like that and it just being almost unattainable, to actioning something and going out of your comfort zone and making it happen. There's a difference, and you get to know that difference. It just feels wrong inside. It just feels like, you know what, this is taking a lot of energy and a lot of time and it's not quite feeling right. And then as soon as you go, you know what, that needs to stop, it's almost like this relief, and you go, maybe it's just not the right time. Maybe this is not meant for me right now. Maybe because something else. And then you start thinking and you start looking at it from a different perspective. When you start to trust that flow, it's like for lots of businesses now all over the world, a lot of people, especially small businesses, will be really, really concerned, will be struggling, all these different things that they're experiencing. But on the flip side, something will be coming for them that they hadn't anticipated. Another thing for me is that I was planning on doing loads more webinars and lives to access people that may be too anxious to come to a class or for other reasons can't make it, or the other side of the world. And it just means now that that stuff's coming a bit quicker. You know, yes, there's implications, but if we kind of be that leaf and lay on the river a little bit and just let it flow, who knows where it's going to take us. So that will help with the manifesting of the things that you don't want to happen. So you put all your energy and your time into looking at what can happen. You know, I know somebody that does manifestation, vision boarding stuff. They are so powerful. I've got loads of stories about things like that. We're even having one at the end of the year, a whole retreat on manifestation, law of attraction, this kind of thing, with talks, with vision boards and so on. That might be something that you're interested in. So yes, the question for me always is how? How? So we talk about mindfulness, and these sessions, they are called monthly mindfulness, but we do a meditation at the end. Yes. So the meditation is a way to bring a little bit of neutrality, a little bit of calm back to us when the subjects that we talk about can raise a lot of things inside us, can trigger us. And it's good to see that, it's good to face that, and it's okay to have those feelings. We have those feelings for a reason. What we need to do is look at them, acknowledge them, not suppress them, move them through. Emotion means to move out, emotion. We move it out, and then we bring the meditation in to release it. And what I found in the past is anything that's got the word mindfulness in is all about meditation, which of course is a beautiful, lovely way to bring calm. And you know, I talk about that a lot, but I don't do meditation all the time, and I don't do it every day. And that is because there's lots of different things that can help bring you mindful. So we're talking about all these different things in our monthly mindfulness sessions. There's philosophy, there's certain books that you read, there's certain practical things that you can do, because for me it's all about how, and meditation is one way to do that. How do I stop myself when I'm feeling rage, when I'm feeling anger, when I'm feeling grief, when I'm feeling fear? These are all really intense feelings, and for you to bring it back to the now, it feels impossible, but there are ways to do it. And I think that's why meditation is one of the bigger ones, because when it's overwhelming, breath work itself is a way to talk to the body, because we can't talk to the head. The head's already gone. It's gone in terms of your emotions. It's your endocrine system's taken over. It's your amygdala. It's your fight and flight response. And that is so fast. It's fast as lightning on purpose, because it's there to save your life. If you need to move out of the motorway, you know, if you need to run away from someone, if you need to fight, it's quicker than your cortex thinking. So when you try to calm yourself down with the mind, with words, when you're in that place, it's almost impossible. That's why we encourage breath work, meditation, something that detracts you from your mind. That's why yoga is good, because you're moving, you're concentrating on the move, you're using your breath, and it's giving you a little bit of break from your mind. So, as I say, how? So when you're in a place where it's not as extreme as that, but it's kind of, it's a niggle, like we're talking about this inner critic, sometimes it's really intense, and sometimes it's just a little niggle. It's background noise, and it's almost like an air conditioning unit that you've forgotten that you've left on. I say AC because I lived in Dubai for so long, and you get used to it and you forget that it's there, you know. And then, you know, when the kids are ring round, or you've got a drawny friend, you know, or whatever, and then suddenly you turn it off. And it's the same with social media, it's the same with, you know, the TV or whatever is going on, and you just press pause, and suddenly you realize how loud it's been. So when you've got an inner critic that might not be as aggressive as we think, sometimes it can be really aggressive, sometimes it's horrendous. Like sometimes it can be lots of different types of voices, you know, it can be different characters, it can be different people. One question that we ask in NLP is, and I love this question, whose voice is it? Because over the years, from the ages of 0 to 8, certainly, we're building our critical filter and our understanding of the world and our unique view of the world. And as a rate of survival, we absorb everything that we see, everything we experience, how a man and woman interacts with each other, how you should speak to people, what the world is the world scary, is it safe? These are all like strong core beliefs. So when we, as we go through our life, we add on these experiences, and they become how we see the world, right? I'm blabbing on, aren't I? And I'm like, it's so much different when you're talking to people, but you're not talking to people. And you're like, it's easier to lose your place. So, and because I go off on so many tangents, I'm like, drop me a note if I've gone off on a tangent too much and I need to come back. But essentially, we build up these understandings of the world, and that is how we, where did I go with that? Can anyone remind me? Just drop me a note. I'm going off on one. I'm tired. It's been a strong week. So yeah, how to stop manifesting, how to silence your inner critic. Thank you, I've just remembered. Okay, so all the different voices, where do they come from? I have got this really lovely diagram that explains a lot of this when we did our hypnotherapy training. It comes from your siblings, it comes from your parents, it comes from the street that you grew up on, it comes from the school that you went to. As we grow up and we get older, this social media came out, it comes from that. It is constant noise all the time. When you get a feeling, when you get an understanding that something is niggling in you, or you hear it clear as day in your head, you should make sure you ask yourself, whose voice is it? And sometimes, you know, it's just out of the goodness of their own heart, but you have to ask yourself, do you resonate with that voice or not? Does it resonate with your beliefs, and do you know your beliefs? So this is one of the ways to stop your inner critic, is to pause it, and it's to actually ask yourself, whose voice is it, and can I shift it, right? And that's perspective shifting. There's loads of NLPs that you can do with that. Now I'm going to give you a practical example of what I do and what I have done in the past to silence my inner critic. I'm going to give you 2 examples, and I'm going to write it down in case I forget, because lots of things just come to my head. So one is writing, one is right. So one exercise somebody gave me to do years ago, Harry and Phil, you don't want to do that. I know. So those of you that are watching this and you're not able to read the notes, you're probably thinking I'm completely crazy by now. And you know what? I am. And I'm okay to admit that, because you know what? We all are, really. So I'm glad I wrote it down. The first one is free writing. Okay, this is a very interesting exercise. If you allow yourself to write for like 10 minutes, which is actually quite long, and not stop. And so that means even writing things like, why the hell am I doing this exercise? I don't even know what I'm supposed to be saying. I've completely lost the plot. I've gone blank. Oh, hang on a second. I've just thought about tomorrow and what's happening tomorrow and what's going on there, right? That's what happens when you're free writing. And then you go, oh, where was I? Oh, yes, I was free writing. Now I've forgotten what I was saying. And you just keep going, right? There's a couple of stages to this. Once you've done it, and you might find then, you'll be surprised, because I've done this in quite a few groups, and it's obviously easier if I'm there and able to encourage you to do that. So please remind me, we'll do it one day. But have a go at this by yourself if you really want to challenge that voice. And then when you've done it and you've got a full piece of paper, you take 3 highlighter pens, green, pink and yellow, whichever, and you decide what they represent. So one will represent neutral thoughts, one will represent so-called negative thoughts or thoughts you don't want to have, and one will represent positive thoughts. And you just go through and you highlight it. It's very, very revealing, because what you do then is you look at each one as a section. So you generally kind of not ignore the neutral ones, because they are kind of like your true self. They are your guide. They are your parent side of you, you know, that grown-up you, let's say. And then you've got that encouraging, motivating you that wants you to keep going, that might be even hyper and positive in that way. And then of course you've got your you that wants to put you down. Okay, so that you that wants to hold you back. And like Elizabeth said in her workshop, because I obviously played it back, was that, can you type it for 10 minutes? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the writing part of it is more because your brain works really, really fast. So it just pauses you a little bit. It's interesting though. I would say yes to that, but maybe try both and just see what happens. I struggle to really write fast, like, because I'm so scruffy with my handwriting, because I think really quickly. So yeah, it might be a case of typing it up for some of you as well. Yeah, so it's really interesting, because you do see what you're saying to yourself. And like I say, once you see it, it's like shining the light on darkness. Once you are aware of it, although sometimes it can feel difficult to see, difficult to hear, you're facing your truth. And everybody has this about themselves. So we can first of all acknowledge it. And I know you did a little bit of that in the workshop. Now, the second thing that I have done, and I do before, and I'm actually going to be doing a Facebook group with this as well. And it's a workshop that I've done before with monthly mindfulness, and it's called the 10-day reset. We might be shifting the name of it a little bit, but that workshop was all about sitting with your thoughts and rewiring them. Okay, so this is where the rewiring comes in. I have a whole video on how to do this, which will be in this group that we do. It'll be a private group. Normally I would be charging for this group, but it's something that I'm wanting to do for free. In there as well will be other little exercises. I'll be doing lives all the time, not like overwhelming you, because that's not the point, but you will have access to me like this. We're going to be writing down, like for me, it's every night. For other people, it's every morning. When I get into it, it's both. The idea is to not make it like a to-do list, and it's not to give it restrictions as such or be rigid. But in a nutshell, if you just want to hear about it now and go off and do this, I call it my 10-day reset, because it's about sitting down with your thoughts at the end of the night, doing that kind of free writing, but not to the same extent. And then you pause, you look at it, you gulp at what's going through your mind, because just be authentic. You know what? We all have these kind of thoughts. Right, okay, that's what's going on in my head at the moment. And you don't need to do anything with it at this point. You know, it's a slow build up. You're just going, I'm getting it out on paper. I'm getting out what I'm feeling. You can say something nice to yourself if you're a bit further ahead like that. If you're a little bit more aware, you can put, and it's okay to feel all these different things. You can even bring the tapping in. Even though I have got all these different, you can do this or you can do this, okay? Even though I've got all these different things going through my head and I feel like I'm crazy, I still choose to heal and love myself. even though I have all these crazy things going through my head at the moment, I still choose to heal and love myself. I still accept myself. I'm here for myself. I'm going to move through this. Whatever affirmations come up for you, whatever helps you, it's only the beginning. It doesn't take long to shift it, I promise. By the end of my 10 days, I feel like a completely different person. It might start way before then. It's just that by saying 10 days, there's no pressure on yourself. And if it takes longer, it takes longer. For some people, they just carry on because they love it. So I did it every night, and in my video, got all my examples of what I used to do. The next night, it might be you write down the same sort of things, but you're just starting to think a tiny bit differently. How that comes up is up to you. It might be that, again, you just start writing some positive affirmations down that make you feel better about it. Or as time goes on, you might start making different choices. You might start seeing patterns in the day. And those patterns might be clues to you about what's going on in your mind, because anxiety also has positive intentions. It's there to help you, it's there to guide you, and so is that voice, which is what Elizabeth said as well. So sometimes we just have to listen and give it the respect, to go, what is it that you're trying to tell me? And if it's not conducive, if it is not supportive at all in your life, in your work, in your personal life, then we need to challenge it. And that's what she also said as well, in terms of, is it a fact? And I really liked that part of the workshop. So at that point, you start to make decisions. These decisions can be that you go deeper with it, that you do therapy with it. I've done so much therapy over the years, I cannot praise it enough. It might be that you do some NLP or some CBT. There's loads of stuff out there. Or it could just be that you have a conversation with someone, that you make some tweaks in your life. The one thing that I can say is positive affirmations work really well. They work even better if you're driving around and you're playing them. I have a wonderful recommendation for you. It's 101 Power Thoughts by Louise Hay. You can download this to your phone and you can listen to it in the car. You've got it. Yeah, it is. So these thoughts are like, they just embed into your subconscious and you don't even know that it's happening. And this is the beauty, because when you're in the car, you are actually under a very light hypnosis. And the reason that I can tell you this or prove this to you is because I can guarantee that you will have been somewhere in your car and you will go, how the hell did I get here? Right? I know you're nodding. I know you're smiling, because it is true. And you've been in a whole other world, and you have been, 101 Power Thoughts. That's it, Louise Hayes. You have been in another world. You have been problem solving, you've been creative, you've been thinking about this and about that. And that's been your cortex thinking. Your cortex, I'm just drawing you something here, is 12. Can you see that? That's my pretending to free write for you. 12%, maybe it's back to front, is your cortex thinking. 88% is your subconscious. So when you're in the car, you're here. Meanwhile, these thoughts, and that's why radio is such a powerful tool, and that's why I have to turn it off when the adverts come, because it just goes, I'm just so open to that kind of stuff. I have to turn the adverts off the TV. I have to turn the adverts off the radio. I have to turn certain music off because it just drives me insane. This goes into your subconscious when you're in the car. So if you play something like 101 Power Thoughts, I might even do some myself, actually. I've got loads of meditations, but they're probably a bit too relaxing for the car. I don't want to be responsible for any kind of accidents, but I can certainly do some for the car. Anyway, she does them for prosperity, abundance, loving yourself, health, friendships, and it's just amazing. And the way she explains it is that some days you'll notice what's going in and some days you won't, and it'll just kind of come through as you're going about your day. So I might have told you this one before, but it's a little bit of a funny story. And it's when I first took over from my manager as a manager, and I really didn't really want the job and I wasn't prepared for it, and I didn't have the training, I had no mentorship. It was just like, here's your team, off you go. And out of the 3 Koreans that were in my team, so it's a Korean company, 2 of them couldn't speak English. They did learn English by the end of it, and I learned a bit of Korean. And one of them had a PhD in English, so he translated a lot of stuff, thank goodness. But it was so pressurizing, the environment. I was the only female non-Korean, early 30s on the management team, and I could feel the vibe. Long story, I won't go into it, but there were times when I would have to lead meetings, and I would have this pit in my stomach walking up the stairs on the well, it'd be Sunday morning there, Sunday to Thursdays, the weekends are Fridays and Saturdays, but you can retrain your mind, and this is the thing, even for weekends and weekdays. And I would literally go to the toilet and just cry in the cubicle and just think, oh my goodness, how on earth can I lead this team? Who am I? I'm just this person, you know. This is my voice talking, obviously, and it still comes in now, obviously. But I am getting so much better at silencing it, and I'll come back to that. But I would go in there and I would cry and walk into the team and be all like, morning. One of the things that I did was this exercise. I've been doing this for years, this 10-day thing. Just started off by writing down, I'd be like, I'm so crap. I'm like, I'm not trained in this. I don't even want to be a manager. I'd write all the stuff that was in my head. And then I wrote the opposite. And I was like, I'm a charismatic leader. I'm influential. I inspire people. I've got a really lovely team who love me and I love them. And I really visioned it. And this is a good thing for your vision board as well. And then, because I like to sing and I like to listen to things in the car, and I knew about hypno because I'd already started my training back then, I would play a song on my CD player in the car that had like a beat to it, and there was no words, so I would be like, I'm charismatic, and honestly, you know, you're thinking I'm totally mad now, but I knew it was going in, you see. I knew it was going in, and it was about changing my beliefs about myself, because beliefs are all that they are. They are not the truth. And those beliefs live, you know, down here. We have to get into them. So sometimes when we try to change it up here alone, it becomes quite hard, not impossible, but a little bit hard. But when we marry up the heart and the head together, boom, that's when we've got a new belief. That is when we have got a new neurological connection, a new belief about ourselves. Then we start reinforcing it. So just as negative beliefs about ourselves or limiting beliefs about ourselves can be created by overexposure to something, by reinforcement, and by reminding ourselves that this is our universe, we can rewire it the other way. So it's new exposure and acknowledging it consciously and going, I wasn't rubbish. I was good. I was good in that meeting, or I was a good mum in this moment. And constantly reminding ourselves until it's reinforced. Sometimes you have to borrow other people's courage, other people's words until it really sinks in, and almost like choose it as something that you're going to do. I'm going to rewire this belief because I know it's just a belief. I'm just reading one of your messages now. Different ideas. So I'm probably going to, yeah, no worries. If you need to go, that's fine. It'll be all on record anyway. So another book that I'd like to recommend to you is The Spontaneous Healing of Belief by Greg Braden. G-R-E-G-G, Greg Braden, B-R-A-D-E-N. So obviously you'll be able to look back at this, but you feel like your beliefs about yourself are actually rewiring as you're reading it. It's amazing. And one of the Louise Hay's books, You Can Heal Your Life, the reinforcement through that about self-love really impacts. Yes, we put it on Facebook, both these books. I don't think we put the Louise Hay one on there, but you have to rewire yourself. So the voice, it needs constant reinforcement, rewiring. Sometimes we need reassurance. Believe me, I'm one of these people. However, when I went on a CBT course, and I'm going to come back to that, what was the title of the first book? The Spontaneous Healing of Belief by Greg Braden, and then You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. So when I went on this CBT course, partly for myself, partly to help other people, I became very aware of reassurance being one of my coping mechanisms. So it can be helpful, but we can rely on it as well. What we want to try and do is rely on ourselves and know in ourselves that we are good enough, okay? And that is the reinforcement. And it just gets easier and easier to distract yourself from the voices. So if you find that a voice is coming up, there's various different things, like I've told you, that you can do, but you can also shift your perspective. Lots of NLP techniques that I can share with you at some point, but one of those techniques is, it's just very, very simple. It's not an NLP technique. It's just finding something that makes you laugh. It's acknowledging and saying, oh my goodness, I'm really beating myself up here. If you can do that, you're halfway there. That is amazing, because if we're not doing that, we're running around like headless chickens, and that is the opposite of mindfulness. Mindfulness is pausing. Mindfulness is then going, right, what am I feeling and what is happening? And not piling a load of crap on top of that. That is called meta emotions. When you're feeling a genuine feeling and then you go, look at you feeling like that. How am I going to get out of this? You may as well just stay in it now. They are meta emotions, and you pile more and more on top, and then you never get to the bottom of what you're feeling. So acknowledge what you're feeling, and then just say, I love this phrase. This is a phrase that neutralizes things for me. You might have a different one. I like to say, oh, that's interesting, right? It's interesting. Think of somebody that's very, very neutral in your life, you know, and it's like, but they're not judgmental either. It's just, that's interesting that you're overburdening yourself with this idea, and it tends to neutralize it a little bit. So then you say to yourself, what are we going to do about that now then you can apply one of the tools. And that is the thing. The inner critic is basically just anxiety in another format. Anxiety is a huge subject. How we work with anxiety, there are many, and it's about finding which type of things work for you at different times. When you're extreme, when you're just a little bit anxious, and it's almost like you're writing the book of you. You are writing a manual about yourself for yourself. Nobody else can do that for you. So it's just exploring different things that work, and that's what these sessions are all about, is giving you little tasters of different techniques, the different things that then you can take off and do, or think, oh, maybe that's something I'll try another time, but I'm not really feeling it today, or whichever. But just making a toolbox of stuff that's yours, that are your go-to things. That's what I really have in my mind. That's what I think about. So if you hear something like that and you recognize it, one, awareness, congratulate yourself for noticing. That is a massive thing in mindfulness anyway. We do that in mindfulness practice. Then two, don't beat yourself up for that. Come into a neutral position and then think, right, what are my options now? What can I do? What has worked for me in the past? And then apply it as best you can. Okay. So they're the different things that we're talking about today. I'm just aware of time because I've blabbed on, and gosh, that's gone fast, hasn't it? I want to end this with a meditation. So just quickly, any questions before I blab them out? Any questions that you would like me to answer just before I go? Anything you'd like me to clear up? Any specific meditation that you'd like me to do? I'm going to probably do the mindfulness one, because that whole process of pausing, of acknowledging and letting it go is something we need to train our minds to do, and we can practice that in mindfulness meditation. The Headspace app is perfect for this, and it's free. Lovely, bring her in. Okay, so I'm not going to put any music to this, but feel free to put your own music to this. we're going to do a little bit of a relaxation just to get ourselves into it. And then I'll do a little bit of a mindfulness practice. We're not going to be here for long, but at the same time, it will be long enough to relax. Okay, so get comfortable. You want to have, if possible, your legs down on the floor, but if you feel you want to lay down, you know, that's fine. You're at home, you can do what you want. And if you're sat, you can have your feet on the floor or you can sit cross legs. Hands can just be anywhere on your lap. You're probably feeling just a tiny bit more relaxed than you would be out there, or maybe it's the opposite. Either way is fine, okay? The body might be feeling a little tense. So why don't we just roll our shoulders briefly to begin with? We're taking them up, back, and down. Now, as we're doing this, we're going to try to match the breath to the movement. So you might need to go faster or slower, but we're going to inhale as we go up. Exhale as we go down. The aim is just to take this a little bit slower than you normally would, which might just mean pausing the breath after you exhale. Even pausing the breath at the top after you inhale. It can feel a little bit strange when you've been busy, when you feel a little bit hyper. So don't worry if the body is resisting a little bit. Don't judge that. Just allow yourself to let go of any clicks and creaks in the body. I sometimes like to just really take it out. And that breath as we inhale, we're expanding the belly and deflating the belly on the exhale. And just come back to yourself. Allow yourself to close your eyes if that's comfortable too. Breathing in through the nose. Filling that belly and then exhaling. Now we usually exhale through the nose, but if you prefer the mouth, if that feels like you're releasing more anxiety, then just go ahead and do that. Good. Now as your eyes are closed there, we're just going to go internally into the body. So what I mean by that is we're just going to focus, for example, on the scalp of the head. And just notice if that feels tight or relaxed. And again, practicing without judgment. It just is. Well, that's interesting. Scalp is feeling tight, or I don't know what my scalp is feeling, and that's fine. Just continuing to breathe nicely in and out. And relaxing the forehead now. So the forehead gets a lot of strife, frowning, smiling even, concentration. Just allow the forehead to melt, to soften. And as the forehead softens, the eyebrows relax along with the forehead. Beginning to relax the whole face now. You can even scrunch the face up to feel what it feels like when it's tight, which we can do. And then release. And you can even move your jaw around. It can feel tense, especially if we're grinding our teeth or we're feeling stressed through the day. Take a deep breath in here. Just beginning to let all of that go now. Face is feeling more relaxed. Shoulders are feeling more relaxed. You allow your shoulders to drop. Every inhale, you're breathing in just the intention to relax. No expectations, no pressure on yourself. You're just turning up. You're here. Just taking 2 minutes out. The attention is already there because you're with me now. So there's nothing you need to think about or do. There's nothing you need to request your mind or body to do. Just listen to my voice. And if you drift away, that's fine. We're going to practice mindfulness meditation today. That means when we notice that our mind is wandering, we praise ourselves for even noticing. This is huge. This is wonderful. When it comes into our awareness, that's when we can change it. Just like the voices inside our minds, the shoulds and coulds. Just praise ourselves for noticing without judgment and just saying, oh, that's interesting. That's interesting that during my meditation, my mind wandered. But well done for noticing. And when you notice your mind wandering and you thank yourself, you just bring your mind back. Bringing the mind back to an anchor. And the anchor that we're using today to keep ourselves grounded is scanning the body. And we're already down to the shoulders, the neck. Shoulders and the neck softening. And I'd like you to continue to scan down through your body. And I'm going to give you some silence to do this with a prompt here and there. Just continue to scan and relax the parts of your body in your own mind, following with your consciousness. And whenever the mind wanders, which it will, just thank yourself and bring yourself back to wherever you remembered scanning in the body. The mind may even already be thinking, am I doing it right? It's just a thought. There are no rights or wrongs. When you notice those kind of thoughts coming in, just thank yourself for noticing and bring yourself back to the body scan. Keep focusing on the anchor of relaxing different parts of the body, working your way down. As we silence the noise around us and enjoy that stillness, we're just practicing silencing the noise inside our own minds. It's very natural and normal. It just takes a bit of practice, a few minutes each time, that's all we need. Wherever you are in your scan now, I just want you to allow your mind to be free, to wander, to think, to analyze, to question, whatever it wants to do, and just pause and watch or observe for the next thought that comes into your mind. It's interesting, isn't it, when we take out expectations on ourselves, pressure, somehow it becomes that bit easier. So just taking with you now that knowing, that thought that it only takes a few moments just to relax, come back to yourself. A few moments each day can help that mindfulness, can help you train the mind, which will train the inner critic as well. So keep that gentleness with you, keep that lightness with you as I count you back from 1 to 3. At 3, you'll be feeling relaxed and yet grounded and back in the here and now. Beginning with 1, just becoming a bit more aware and starting to bring yourself back. With 2, starting to connect to our senses, our surroundings, wiggling fingers and toes, taking a deep breath in. with 3, blinking the eyes open, coming back to the here and now. Maybe giving yourself a stretch and a bit of a thank you to yourself for being here. A thank you from me too. And I hope you've enjoyed this extra session. And as I say, there's lots more bits coming up over the next week or so, and there'll be more coming forward. So, oh, that's so nice to see. Thank you, Cindy. I'm so happy. You know, just remember, it doesn't take long. We just have to make that choice and go, I'm going to do that now. I'm going to do that now. Even if it means whatever you feel is coming and blocking you, it's my pleasure, Amanda. Even if it means just popping in the car, going somewhere and closing the door and just being there and closing your eyes, you can get your me time. You can get that space. Every day, do something for yourself. Every day, get out, get outside. These are the big tips. And every day, bring the breath work in. Everything else will fall into place. We will get there. This is exactly wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So thank you everyone for joining me, and I hope those of you that have watched this back have also enjoyed it. Do let me know, and I will see you all soon. Bye for now. As usual, I cannot find how to end this.